is not something that you just dump something on. The internet is not a big truck. The internet it's a series of tubes.
A pill I just took, fish oil, yummers. I like when brain not slow and heart also healthy. That's right, everyone. The people have spoken. So yes, we are doing a series of tubes. I do like the thought process behind the community on this channel. They hate slop, but when I'm standing up, slop becomes good slop. And when I talk about many slop in a single video, it's no longer slop. It's ASOT. By the way, I think in the last ASOT, I talked about the Oxford Dictionary and how they were going to have a word of the year, and brain rot was actually one of the contenders. Brain rot actually won. So congratulations to brain rot. I will be honest though, I do feel a little bit hard done by because I thought the word slop was going to win, but you know, maybe next year. To start things off, we are going to talk about the very controversial topic of someone recreating a Cruelty Squad mission in real life. And this is, of course, Luigi Manhunt. So who is this Luigi individual and how did he recreate a Cruelty Squad level in real life? Well, after a certain thing that he did to a certain healthcare CEO of a certain company, this then led people to recreate the events of what he did within Cruelty Squad. This is actually a YouTube video, but it's also a full playable level that you can download yourself. Now, Luigi was charged with game-ending the CEO of United Healthcare, Brian Thompson. And this led to one of the biggest manhunts imaginable online. Every man wanted to find out who he was and bring him to justice. Every woman wanted to simp over him because there was a picture where he lowered his hygiene mask and women thought he looked conventionally attractive. Oh my god, I've got to choose between the guy and the bear. But if that was the guy, oh my god, I'm just gonna go shopping. This is why the audience that watches this channel is a complete sausage fest. I'm never going to have like a queso audience or anything where it's like, you know, half the audience is just women simping over you. Now, usually what happens online, if you do a thing and people find out who you are, they instantly become Reddit detectives and go through your history to find any kind of links. Some people already found Luigi's Facebook, found out that unfortunately his fish passed away and got stuck in the filter all the way back in 2010, and they were chalking that up as the reason why he game ended as CEO. Now, originally, before Luigi's identity was revealed, there was a lot of game theories that this was someone who tried to reach out to United Healthcare for like a plan or coverage, and they had their appeal denied because United Healthcare, they do have one of the highest rejection rates for any kind of appeal. So to anyone that doesn't know how insurance works, it is comedically bad, and this entire event is basically exposed to people for something that we all took for granted, now realizing how awful it is.
You had no business treating that man. You may have spared him a lingering death, but that's straight out malpractice.
Could you imagine a worse system in the world than you paying money every month, every year to a certain company to get coverage if you develop some kind of like, you know, life-threatening disease later to get coverage to your family, only to be told, wait, you were on the terrace of a nightclub 7 years ago and you inhaled someone's secondhand smoking? No. No. We now deny the entire policy claim. Basically, these insurance companies are evil because they will do pretty much anything within their power to try to deny you a claim. I mean, if anything, people are living longer now, so there's a higher chance that when you get older, you can definitely get more ill. You know that meme of like the guy that's like, I don't know, he's not Superman, I don't know who he is, and he's got two red buttons? That is United Healthcare, and the first one says deny claim, the second one says deny claim. The entire reason I went on this rant is because in America, you can actually stay on your family's insurance plan until you're 26, and he recently turned 26. Is that the reason why he did it? No, but I saw a tweet about it that got a bunch of likes. It was kind of funny. But it did seem that Luigi actually did have it out for a lot of these healthcare companies, especially the fact that he got a back injury earlier on in his life. And this Goodreads account that people found, which they seem to think is connected to Luigi, it's got books on dealing with chronic back pain, the Unabomber's manifesto as well, and also apparently rating the Lorax 5 stars. I actually remember watching the film and the Lorax as a kid, and I like how the message behind the film is like pretty anti-capitalist. I mean, the entire film as a kid goes into a forest, realizes he can make money off it, meets this friend called the Lorax, cuts all the trees down, destroys all the forest. Then he feels quite bad because he's sad and on his own and he's old, despite him having all that money. And then he realizes the error of his ways. And I mean, that could be like an anti-capitalist statement. The only problem is with the Lorax, I remember that they would have like paid car ads for the film. What the hell? That is crazy. They had like a borderline anti-capitalist film, and then they have a car ad. Like, I get it, you gotta make money, I get it, but still, holy. Now, not only did this story inspire a lot of people to take this into their own hands,
but I'll take matters into my own hands. else.
I mean, this is people trying to call out Ticketmaster's CEO or other various related medical websites. Okay, I'm going to avoid the sponsor here, but companies like that are incredibly predatory. It is a complete scalper culture where you're paying 5, 10, 15 times the amount of what you should really be paying for a singular ticket. Remember like 5 years ago when people cared about Supreme? It's basically if all the Supreme scalpers started their own brand of drop shipping. There was also some other weird happenings as well. Like there were a lot of medical websites and they were actually removing any mention of their CEOs because they thought like they were next kind of thing. And there was even an American healthcare provider, the Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield. And they, possibly because of what happened, backed out of their plan to cap anesthesia treatment on patients. So basically putting a paid cap on it, which again is pretty convenient because that will probably save people money in the long run if you're putting a cap on a price. And that's very shortly after a CEO's game ended.
Hello?
I want to be honest, I have seen the video multiple times, and obviously I can't show it because it's probably hard-coded into YouTube to delete an account immediately after being posted. The kind of gun this guy was using, what in the Metal Gear Solid is he using, bro? It's like a trank pistol having to be like cocked back after every shot. I did see some people talk about it saying it was a ghost gun, which is basically like a gun without a serial number. It's usually 3D printed at home, like a custom-made gun that isn't on any records. Again, I have no idea. It looks like the trank pistol from Metal Gear Solid. Now, unfortunately, even though all the poors right now are celebrating that the rich are being taken out, will anything happen? Probably not, because nothing ever happens. We seem to go through this cycle at the minute where something could happen. There is the precipitation building in the atmosphere of a happening, and then nothing happens. And then the cycle just repeats itself. But despite that, United Healthcare did actually lose $40 billion, which is probably chump change to them, as the result of news coverage and memes about the situation. Probably because the biggest shareholders didn't also want to get one-tapped as well.
No.
Another thing as well that I'm sure you've seen people talk about, there were bullet casings found at the scene and with very intentionally left messages, probably because, again, you're using like a solid snake trank pistol. But these phrases actually said, inscribed on the sides, delay, deny, defend.
This guy's got balls, that's for sure.
And a lot of people thought, whoa, that's really cool. That sounds badass. He should write a book. But what it actually is, it's a common phrase that's used in insurer tactics to make sure that they get the most amount of money out of you, but have to give the least amount of payout. You're delaying the claim, you're denying them a claim, and then when they try to come back for an appeal, you defend your denial of the claim. There's actually a book by Jay Feynman that goes into much more detail, and it uses the exact same title as what was found, wrote on the bullet casings, to go into how insurers handle claims in some of the most scummy ways possible. Because again, if an insurance company gave a fair payout to every single customer they had, they'd probably go broke within a month. Now, remember when I mentioned earlier that when you do something online, the first thing people like to do is look into your history to see if they can make any funny memes about it, especially Twitter gimmick accounts. If you see that blue check mark, they are getting paid for it. Why do you think they're tweeting 30 times a day? I actually have a Twitter blue check mark, but I haven't set up like my Stripe payment or anything because I'm just too lazy. And also, to be fair, Elon has Twitter payouts so rigged at the minute that unless your account is called End Wokeness, you're not going to make more than $5 a month. End Wokeness. Oh, it's so cringe. You know the guy behind that is like 40. But one thing people were quick to point out about Luigi is in a yearbook photo, there was a quote that he made coming from the one and only video game donkey.
Is this Pizza Hut?
Yes, it is.
More like pizza butt.
The same guy that appeared at the Game Awards, only to lose out to Balatro. Sadly unlucky. And on top of that as well, there was found footage. I talk about found footage like I'm talking about Five Nights at Freddy's or something. But this was of his valedictorian speech during his graduation ceremony. There was also reports as well of Luigi playing Among Us shortly before his arrest, which then led the official Among Us Twitter account to make an official statement. Now, this is where we're scraping the bottom of the barrel a little bit. I know, like this, you know, the news accounts reporting that he played Among Us. Oh my God, what did he play next? Buckshot Roulette? But the one and only legendary news network, Fox News, they somehow aired a fan cam edit of Luigi. Imagine how many people this was ran by, and they saw nothing wrong with this. Oh, the fan cam, it's so good. And of course, political commentators had to turn it into a political thing so they can keep pumping out ad reads. Like, for example, Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh, their comment section was basically full of people saying that this is not a political thing. Now, is Luigi cooked? The thing is, this is like the opposite situation of most people that go to jail. Most people that go to jail, they get protection from the government, but then the people inside the jail absolutely despise them for the actions they did. If Luigi goes to jail, I'm not even doing a bit here, he will probably be celebrated as some kind of hero. But obviously the authorities are going to do anything they can to take him down. They are going to be presenting a ton of evidence in court. The chances of him getting out are incredibly slim. I mean, if anything, his bail was probably set to whatever they charged Lalo Salamanca with in Better Call Saul, and then doubled that.
$7 million?
Yep.
All we know at the minute for certain is Luigi is appearing in court on the 23rd. What's wrong with my brain, man? When I keep saying Luigi's gonna be in court, I just imagine it's like Luigi and Mario at the stand and like Bowser's testifying against them. And also on top of that as well, Luigi's team have already said beforehand that he is planning to plead not guilty and have no association at all with the game ending. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. You know why? TikTok is gonna get banned. As Joshua Block would famously say, what does B-A-N-N-E-D mean? So, you know how I said nothing ever happens? But there could actually be a happening right now. So there has been a very long back and forth between China and America about TikTok being banned in America, because obviously China is a TikTok company. And America don't like that. They think that TikTok is basically being used to spy on people. So the government are basically saying to TikTok, we are going to ban you in America forever. This is like the worst RDM case in Gmod imaginable. You are not going in that steel cage. No, no, no. You are being banned. Not for 1 month, not for a year. Perma-banned.
Being a naughty boy.
Now, the reason why you haven't heard like every single commentary channel talk about this is because the entire topic would be about 30 seconds. And also, come on, TikTok's too big. There's no way that the US are Wait, they rejected them? They did that? Oh my God, something might be happening. So they basically tried to appeal to the US court. The US court was like, we don't care, you're still getting banned. Now keep in mind, TikTok is basically the biggest social media app in the world. It's got 170 million users in just America alone. That's a lot of cheeseburgers. That's a lot of people in the comment section saying y'all and bruh, and then the sob emoji with the prayer hands, and then the skull emoji. Now, like I said earlier, America is concerned about TikTok's links to China, mostly because TikTok is owned by ByteDance, a Chinese media conglomerate. I'd also like to point out that ByteDance has multiple locations, like for example in Beijing, but also in the Cayman Islands. I wonder why. There could be nothing for tax reasons there why you would set up in the Cayman Islands. So the American government basically thought that China was using TikTok to steal and spy on people's data. And then the Americans said, no, you can't do that. Only we get to do that to our own citizens, not you. And then TikTok, realizing how much money they were going to lose with people streaming at 3 in the morning, being given 7 roses, had a complete panic attack. And they immediately filed an emergency motion for injunction to try and, prevent the ban from happening. However, the Federal Appeals Court actually completely denied that request entirely. And it's even gone as far as the leaders of the House China Committee have actually sent letters to Apple and Google urging them to get ready to take TikTok off of the App Store. Now, the funny thing is, this is basically going to become a Flappy Bird situation, because if this happens in January, if the thing happens, and believe me, nothing ever happens, you won't be able to download TikTok again. But most of you probably already have it saved on your phone. So it's a Flappy Bird situation where every single American phone with TikTok on will now be worth infinitely more. You will have people selling like used iPhones and Samsungs on eBay just because it has TikTok installed on it. Now, the weird thing is though, Flappy Bird was a game that was like never really updated. There was no cosmetics, no skins, sadly no battle pass, no loot crates. But TikTok is an app that gets frequently updated, usually because of like the algorithm and more TikToks being uploaded. The thing is, once this app gets pulled, it's not going to receive any more updates. So you're going to have this like weird version of TikTok that is eventually just going to become incredibly outdated. And because of how quick the internet moves, in about 5 days, your FYP is going to be older than a T-Rex. But there could be a shining light in the darkness. One way to get TikTok back so I can lie in my bed and doom scroll at people that are doing better than me. Because Donald Trump, certified orange man, has actually said himself during his presidential run that he wanted to get TikTok back.
For all of those that want to save TikTok in America, vote for Trump. The other side's closing it up.
Now, the funny thing is, the official ban for TikTok in America is set to be on the 19th of January, and that is 1 day before Trump is set to come into the White House. I also do want to say as well, there is one small chance that TikTok does not get banned, and the only way that that's going to happen now is if TikTok sells itself to an American company. But obviously, China, America, They don't really like each other too much. It's like the two bitchy kids at high school. They pretend to be friends. No, they're not. So orchestrating a deal where a Chinese company being sold to America, that's going to be very, very difficult. Now, on the topic of Orange Man, I wanted to talk about what Old Man was No, I'm not even going to refer to them by their names. So as we know, Joe Biden isn't in office anymore. Even if the Democrats won, he was never going to run anyway because, you know, he's just too busy falling up the stairs. Now, I am dead certain I will never meet Joe Biden in my entire life. He could have been one of the nicest people I could have ever had the pleasure of meeting. But that being said, regardless, he still does ragdoll up the stairs more than an NPC in Half-Life 2. Now, what Joe Biden did recently is a pretty silly thing. He put out a tweet saying no one is above the law. No one. That is except for his son, Hunter Biden, who he completely, unconditionally pardoned. Now, Hunter Biden could have actually saw the inside of a jail cell. He had various felony gun and tax convictions, and Hunter actually accumulated a lot of these over the past couple of years. But Joe Biden said, no, my son. No banhammer for you. You're a free man. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of you have seen the Fast and Furious films, and one of the constant catchphrases is, we're a family. Family is the strongest thing we have. So why am I going after Sleepy Joe if he's just pardoning, you know, one of his family members? The thing is, he literally said specifically beforehand that he would not be pardoning his son, Hunter. He said specifically, even though he has the power to unban, he is not going to ban. And on top of that as well, he respects, well, he abides the jury's decision. Now, I'm assuming one of the reasons why Sleepy Joe made this decision is because it just doesn't matter anymore. He's only president for a very short period of time before Orange Man takes over, so he's basically going to do everything in his power to protect his son. Now, he did like a press statement doing a little bit of a cope, basically saying that he feels that Hunter was targeted simply for being Biden's son. I mean, I do want to say as well, this isn't the first time where a president has like pardoned one of their family members simply because they can. I mean, a great example is Trump. He actually pardoned his son-in-law's father, and that was right before he exited his first presidential term. But more on Hunter Biden, if you're unfamiliar with him, he has quite a past. His brother passed away from brain cancer. His mother and his baby sister died in a car accident all the way back in the 70s. He's someone who the media has been documenting as constantly going in and out of rehab pretty much his entire life. And then he joined the US Navy Reserve, and he was actually discharged the very first day from cocaine usage. He's also been caught doing international business with China and Ukraine, and even becoming the biological father of another woman's daughter. And the Biden family has actually recognized this as their 7th grandchild. And how can we forget as well the infamous Hunter Biden oopsie whoopsie, where he left his laptop in a repair store, and this was dubbed the laptop from hell. So he left his laptop inside a repair store, and people went through that laptop, and there were all kinds of information leaks. And this is when Biden was running for president, his dad, in 2020. So this is possibly the worst time to have this laptop get dropped. There were loads of leaks, like for example, Hunter recording himself smoking crack, doing drugs, as well as, like what I mentioned earlier, Hunter's international dealings with China and Ukraine. But I guess he's pardoned now, so hooray! Hooray! I do like hearing these stories about people that take their computers or laptops to repair stores and they just don't think that the person that works there is gonna go through it. They do that. That there is no confidentiality law or anything. I want to say right now, thank God that all my commissions are out there and they're public, because if some poor guy found that when just trying to repair my PC, I mean, to be fair, they do find it anyway. They just give me an absolute look of disgust afterwards, and then they don't want me to return to the store again. But that's pretty much it. Oh my God, I love talking about Andrew Tate. I'm not gay.
What?
I'm not gay.
I just love talking about men on the internet. So speaking of leaks, I just talked about Hunter Biden, but Andrew Tate has had quite a lot of leaks recently. So one of Andrew Tate's biggest draws of money right now is The Real World, which if you look at it, just looks like an off-brand Discord platform, but you have to pay to use it. I would like to tell everyone right now, by the way, that has Discord Nitro on their account, we don't care that your profile picture moves around a lot. Stop paying $50 a year just to have that. No, guys, you don't get it. I need to pay $50 a year to have my Discord banner be a 2 megabyte GIF of James in Silent Hill 2 swinging Pyramid Head's blade to try and hit Eddie before he runs out the room and misses entirely. So Andrew Tate's beloved website, The Real World, which makes him a shed load of money from people paying way too much, this was hacked recently by a bunch of trans activists. I assume they're trans activists because one of the most used emojis on that server after the hack was the trans flag. Now, if you're wondering what The Real World is, it pretty much is just this Hustlers University website, but it was rebranded after his social media bans in 2023. Now, the hacker's message behind this was basically saying that they wanted to go against Tate's a pretty lengthy history of like alt-right and misogynistic views towards women. So in terms of the hack, pretty much any single person that paid money to get access to Andrew Tate's The New World, which is around $50 a month minimum, has had all their personal information leaked, such as their names and their emails. Some news outlets are even reporting that even over 300,000 emails have actually been breached during this attack.
Andrew Tate's online university called The Real World just got hacked, with 325,000 emails and all their public and private chat logs being leaked.
So, you know, how did this happen? How did we get here? Network security. It's always network security. Essentially, The Real World, the website that Andrew Tate and all of his cronies is using, the coding to the website is extremely similar to another Discord clone called Revolt. Even the creator of Revolt has actually called out Andrew Tate, basically saying that this guy has just stolen all of my coding.
Back in my previous video where I talked about Andrew Tate's Discord clone, when I was looking through their API, I noticed their backends and how everything is set up, their code might have been stolen from an open source Discord clone called Revolt. And if you look in the pinned comments of this video, it actually turns out that the creator of Revolt, the owner, actually made his own article talking about how Andrew Tate's The Real World is stealing his software.
Now, if this is the case, that Andrew and his team basically just stole a pre-existing website, they wouldn't have known any of the vulnerabilities about it. And this obviously led hackers to use the exploits that existed with Revolt to get onto The New World. And this, like I said, it caused names to be leaked, email addresses to be leaked, but also the custom emoji filter where people started spamming trans flags, rainbow flags, and any way to spell out that Andrew Tate is a cute gay gooner.
So the first thing that the hackers could do on The Real World is pretty obvious. They could upload emojis, and the emojis that they uploaded were trans flags. There was Tate with big booty cheeks. There were AI images of Andrew Tate with a rainbow flag because he is very misogynistic and homophobic. But then also there were emojis that were posted that would spell out words. For example, there's this one here that says Andrew Tate is a cute gay gooner. There were more emojis posted that said Tate is a cutie patootie patootie. And finally, there were more emojis uploaded that said Tate loves kissing femboys.
And because they got backdoor access as well, they basically found a way to time out and ban anyone, no matter what their rank or privilege was on the server. So of course, the first thing they did when they realized they had this power was to ban Andrew Tate from his own website, and then also another real life staff member. But then they realized as well, if they timed people out and didn't ban them, they would still have to pay for the membership regardless. And another thing that was really weird as well is apparently they got access to all of the messages. This is everything in public group chats, but also private server messages as well. Now, currently at the minute, apparently, there's around 14 gigabytes worth of data to sort through on the Real World servers from the leak. But one thing they leaked as well that people pointed out was really funny was Andrew Tate's version of a secret society. Now, this is Andrew Tate's war room. I'm sure it needs no introduction. This is where the chads, the alpha males, the sigmas, this is where they all hang out. And these leaks also included their actual real life faces and their names as well. So, not very secret, I guess. So you're probably wondering, how's Andrew Tate dealing with this? He's always someone that, you know, he takes it on the chest. He's not going to start freaking out. No, he basically tried to downplay everything by saying it was fake news.
But here's the thing. Andrew Tate also made a second public comment talking about this hack. Because on November 23rd at 7:52 a.m., he made an announcement saying, "Fake news alert at students. The Real World has never lost names, addresses, credit card details, or any personal private data in its history. We got Matrix attacked and some nerds played with our new custom emoji functionality. The chats inside The Real World are public to any paying member, but that's obvious. How is that a hack?"
Now, I don't think Andrew Tate is the most respected person, but I've always found his tweets comedy gold because it borders this fine line of like being self-aware and just dabbling in irony. And also, it's even more funny if you read it in his voice. "We hacked his school and saw the chats of his 800k members. The chats are public. You literally just bought a membership and logged in and read the rooms. Call that a hack?" One reply that Andrew Tate made that will actually kill me until the end of time is when he got into beef with Chris Bumstead. So basically, Andrew posted this Twitter video of him working out on like one of his own private yachts. And then Chris Bumstead, who's like a 3-time Mr. Olympia, basically replied with a snide comment saying tiny weights. And then Andrew replies with this comedy gold. "Heaviest weights I could find on my super yacht. How heavy are the weights on your yacht?" It's so good. It's so good. How heavy are the weights on your yacht? But regardless to the Andrew Titty situation, it's probably just going to be ongoing because, again, there are 14 gigabytes of text data. So we might find something soon. But again, look at the chart. Nothing ever happens. Oh boy. My favorite favorite live streaming platform of all time, Kick, is back in the news. I feel like at this point, these Kick stories are fabricated just to bait me out into making videos on them. I mean, what can we talk about? The fact that Sam Pepper, very famous Big Brother contestant, who also copyright striked a fair few of my videos back in the day, he's actually came back from the grave now to gamble with a child on stream. Or famous clip farmer Neon yelling about how horny the staff members are, and also going on to say that he won't promote his streams in Jamaica anymore. I'll be honest, that entire stream with Neon in Jamaica was really weird. If you don't know, Jamaica have like very strict anti-gay laws. Basically, in that country, if you're gay, that can be a punishable offense of up to 10 years in jail. And what does Neon think? Oh my god, I can clip farm by pretending I'm a little bit zesty and going up to men and hitting on them. This then led to him basically just being stuck with this Jamaican guy all day that obviously wasn't interested. Neon gives the guy $100, I think, to like hang out with him or something like that, just for content. But then the guy just leaves with the money straight away. And then Neon, after giving the $100 to the guy who then leaves, instantly realizes, oh my god, I just gave 0.3 milliseconds of ad revenue away to a random person. I need to make the money back. Time to clip farm. What the fuck? Bro! No. I just got robbed! But the other big pickle that Kick is involved in right now is with some of its biggest creators, that of course being that name, this is like every third video now, man. This is like every third video. And then another creator as well called Your Rage. So both of them actually decided to leave Kick within the past few weeks. If anything, it's more surprising that Aiden seems to be leaving. He put a tweet out on his second Twitter account basically saying he's looking at stepping down indefinitely, and also he is going back to Twitch. And it's surprising because Aiden is basically Kick payroll. He definitely owns shares in the company. He will constantly shill it whenever he gets a chance to. And then he even goes out of his way to extend contracts to people, like for example, Lieutenant Dan. Now, Aiden himself, probably because he's under several contracts, has been very tight-lipped about the reason for him leaving, but Your Rage, the other guy, on the other hand, has been very open, saying it was payment issues, something which even the Kick co-founder is saying just straight up isn't true. Now, all of this Kick bad-mouthing has not been sitting well with one person, and that is XQC. Whenever there's a debate, whenever there's internet drama, you will be certain that XQC will have input that 3 people will actually be able to understand.
Hey, I did pretty good. Hey, 30-39 on my second game of controller. I'm doing pretty good, no?
So, XQC recently got into a pretty heated tangent because Miss Kiff went on to say that Kick will be finished after 2 of their biggest creators are basically dropped from the platform. Now, XQC, definitely no bias here because he has a multi-million-dollar contract being signed with Kick. That also does not mean he's exclusively with them, so he's allowed to stream on Twitch as well. He went on to say that it's going to do nothing, their numbers were bad anyway, and Kick is going in an upward direction. He also claims as well that Miss Kiff was apparently view-botted for a year, and no one batted an eye about that. I always think it's really weird when you bring up the claims of view botting. Like, there definitely should be some kind of proof, because I swear, like, if there's a single streamer that gets better numbers than you and it makes you salty, you just immediately claim it's view botted. And then later on in the stream, he calls out Aiden, Your Rage, another streamer, Bruce, drop him off, for being really unprofessional about trying to leave Kick and also leaking their DMs. And then in turn, Your Rage reacted to the XQC tangent. He was really annoyed, but then basically said, I still watch him off stream, it's fine. And then XQC got into a call with Your Rage, and literally nothing got resolved because, again, I don't think a lot of people can understand genuinely what XQC is trying to say. I think he is a 700 IQ law scholar. He could be an actual Greek philosopher, but no one will know because no one can understand what the guy's saying half the time.
Call me schizo, say I'm gone, we're crashing out, say I'm being stupid or whatever, right? Because I'm explaining to you exactly the foundation of why things are happening, and you're refusing to intake new information and the truth, and you're just running wild with the, oh my god, it's so relatable, I'm throwing a tantrum, Kick his dog shit, and he doesn't pay me, Shh. Jam, a man of fortune, and Jay must seek my fortune. Henry Avery's, 1994.
Now, in some very, very bizarre news, FaZe Clan, the multi-million-dollar organization that I'm sure you saw the critical video on, basically saying that they fell off and completely died. But it does actually seem that FaZe Clan could be on the track to becoming back. I'm sure this has nothing to do with the fact that they won at the Streamer Awards for the best org, and then they ended up recreating the Kanye West image of winning the Grammy by urinating on it. But what seems to have happened recently at the Streamer Awards is there was a certain ex-FaZe Clan member and also Stranger Things actress Grace Van Dien or Van Dyne. I don't know. Metro's booming. I don't know. She was basically throwing shade at the org when presenting the nominee for the best FPS streamer.
Best FPS player, as I am hard stuck bronze in every game that I play. That's why I was never accepted into FaZe, right, guys? Yeah. That's okay, I'm not a Trumpy anyway.
Now, looking back into Grace's history, I actually remember like a year ago, or maybe even longer than that, when she was signed up onto FaZe, and you can see the actual video, and it's got quite a lot of dislikes. A lot of people just immediately screamed, she's not a gamer, she's just a famous actress that you pulled. Industry plant. Anyone I don't like is now industry plant. And I mean, to be fair, I will say this now. There are a ton of industry plants. There are so many examples that I've gone over in previous videos of these men and women. They just come from absolutely nowhere, and then they're already getting podcasts with Drake. And I mean, a good example is the Hawk Tour girl. Like she's an industry plant. I'm not saying that when she was found on the street going Hawk Tour, like she was a deep CIA mole, like pretending to be a bit more simple. When I mean industry plant, I mean someone that was probably found by a talent agency and they were pushed through all the right doors without having to do any of the work themselves. I mean, the Hawk Tour girl has basically been admittedly handheld by Jake Paul pretty much her entire career after the hawking incident. And when Grace, the Stranger Things actress, was actually signed up with FaZe, people at FaZe, like FaZe Rain, were even concerned. Why is she being signed up? And then not too long after that as well, she actually ended up leaving FaZe. And that was around the time that FaZe was trying to like rebrand itself. Also at the time, FaZe was like massively selling out. I mean, a good example is when FaZe laid off like 110 employees. And that isn't a small circumcision. Like the whole hog is coming off because that only left around 30 employees to try to keep the company alive. And that was earlier this year. Besides all that as well, you want to talk smack about someone from the safety of your own home? What website do you use? Twitter. Of course you do. She basically claimed that FaZe had micro energy and saying that no one in the org actually had the balls to talk to her during the show. However, instead of basking in their award at the show, they felt a little bit bitter. Like, for example, FaZe Ronaldo asking Grace out on a dinner date, FaZe Kaysen claiming that they don't care about her, and then FaZe Banks saying, oh, dear Jesus. Okay, all right. Am I reading this? I'm reading this. All right. Nobody's afraid of your baby voices or your 80-pound emo boyfriend. Stop clinging onto our shit. Nobody knows you or gives a fuck about you. You tried to force your way into FaZe. You're a fucking cornball that none of us wanted, and you're still mad. I'm going to do something very brave here. I'm going to take off my beanie and show my full head of hair in respect for Brother Banks. Brother Banks, let no one ever talk bad about your hairline again. We will forget the CCTV camera in the bar incident. We will forget the slipping off the table drunk at a party where your toupee came off. We will forget all these transgressions for that roast. And then all this abuse led to Grace deactivating her entirety of Twitter. I'm sure a lot of people are going to say this is going to be an L on both sides. I'm sure all two of the FaZe shareholders left over will be just celebrating.
Well, you digging in me, you dig.
Now, speaking of online drama, one thing I have seen a lot, especially on Twitter, are these clip accounts going around and trying to purposefully sexualize women. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, what's wrong with that, bro? That's pretty based. Well, it's bad because these are mostly blue checkmark accounts, so they're making money off you gooning. That's why it's bad. I like how I can't just like defend women. There always has to be a layer of irony to it as well. Like, for example, there was this one clip going around basically saying that Pokimane had a nip slip on stream a month or so ago. However, to absolutely no one's surprise and to the grand disappointment of 12-year-olds all across America, she did actually not in fact have a nip slip. Now, Pokimane isn't the only target here, even though she is one of the biggest streamers. This does carry across to pretty much all the large female content creators online. One thing I do want to say before going into this, I do genuinely believe, as much as I do a bit, you know, with like women le bad, women are le bad. Like, don't worry, that opinion won't change. But I definitely think that women as creators online get loads more hate than male creators. The point I'm trying to make is a male creator will do something le bad and he will get nowhere near much pushback as opposed to if a woman creator does le bad. I mean, a perfect example of this is, I'm sure you saw that game, Catley, that was at the Game Awards. It had absolutely zero gameplay. It looks mostly like AI slop. Most people, when they saw it, gave a very overwhelming thumbs down. But shortly after the Game Awards, Pokimane and Ninja, Mr. Low Taper Fade, I promise the bit isn't dead, both made tweets promoting the game. And the really funny thing is about the tweets as well, it was really obvious that these people had no idea how sponsorships work. They must have paid Ninja and Pokimane up front, because I swear within like 2 hours, their tweets were deleted. But the point I'm trying to make is I saw that Pokimane got so much more hate than Ninja did. Now, there was another huge female streamer that was also getting these like exploitative tweets made about her as well, like saying that there were nip slips and stuff, and that was Valkyrae. And she actually wanted to go as far as to, you know, lawyer up, get some Saul Goodman up in this house, because she probably would have a case on the grounds of defamation and slander, because they're basically lying. They know that they're lying. The clips that they post, these things that they're talking about, do not happen. The funny thing is, though, one of these accounts that was doing this just so obviously only for money and impressions, as soon as they heard the word lawsuit from Valkyrae, they completely panicked and then deactivated their account. You also had Cutie Cinderella join in as well, saying to lawyer up bozos, and I swear some of these guys have now started to put in their bio that they're like a parody account. Like, that's going to do anything in a court of law. Your Honor, my defendant claims it was all a bit. Now, will there be any lawsuits? Will these 300 follower Twitter accounts be dragged into the ground? It really just depends how much spare time these women have. Now, next up, I wanted to talk about one of my favorite YouTube channels. Not because I think their content is awe-inspiring or amazing or impressive. No, because any streamer can basically put on their videos, have no reaction, and somehow get 30,000 concurrent viewers. I'm talking about JCS Criminal Psychology. If you go onto the PyroLive channel, if you sort from the most popular uploads, you will see that JCS has been carrying this channel. JCS, I want to thank you guys so much. Thank you for that. I almost wish that I didn't want to talk about this next segment, but unfortunately, I have to. So JCS took a very long hiatus. It almost seemed that they basically quit the internet entirely. There was a lot of things happening behind the scenes. They had videos taken down because of copyright claims, or it was against YouTube's terms of service. And eventually they reached a point thinking, okay, you know what? We're just going to quit. I think they put out a statement or something. And I know for a fact that other YouTube channel, Explore With Us, which is basically the same thing, but slightly lower energy, they were celebrating in their boardroom that JCS quit. But unfortunately, that wasn't to last, because JCS recently came back with another video. But as people watched more and more of the video, they realized something's wrong. Something doesn't add up. The feeling here, it's a little bit off kilter. Even when I was streaming this video, it's unfortunately something that I picked up on literally within the first 5 seconds.
Behold, the sacred union that unites two souls into a lifelong journey.
That sounds like AI, bro. So one of the biggest things that people pointed out is Kazumi, who is this, very humble spoken. He has such a unique voice that really carries the channel. JCS became so famous not only because of the editing and the commentary, but Kazumi's voice. It's not something that you're just able to swap out, but it seems that they've done that with AI. It's still Kazumi, but it's obviously not him recording the lines live. And there were other callouts as well. Like, for example, later on in the video, there was a completely random voice that was inserted in, like another AI voice, but it was a woman. If anything, it sounded like Diane, the handler for Agent 47 from the Hitman series.
Thomas Cross had billions in hidden offshore accounts, all stripped clean within hours of the kidnapping.
Yet completely separated by a wall, betrayal, and the desperate need to save their own ass.
Now, the first thing Redditors did was go to Kazumi's profile, anywhere he was posting, to ask him, is this you? Have you been kicked out of JCS? Have they scammed you? And he initially responded to a user's question with saying, I don't know whether I will be, implying like if he's going to come back or not. He then actually did later confirm that JCS got the rights and permission to use his AI voice in videos, and he is being compensated for his work. I did say this when I was streaming the video, reacting to it. Like, I thought to myself, the AI stuff, the AI voice, it's kind of lame. I don't really like it. But if he's getting a fat bag for doing it without really having to do any work, because, he's an older guy, he might not have the time or the energy to do it, then fair enough. Everyone wins. But thankfully, Kazume did also go on to say that he is going to be returning in future videos, and also JCS has learned from this mistake and will not do it again going forward. I mean, if anything, this is one of the best outcomes that I'm talking about today, because this is someone that, had something bad happen, and they've kind of learned, okay, let's not do that again. So I am talking about an old head, and I know, like, in YouTube standards, I'm a massive old head, but this is next level old head. And I'm talking about Ray William Johnson. This guy, he definitely does not need an introduction. He is a YouTube veteran. He used to run this really old talk show called Equals 3. Well, he'd break down viral videos and happenings and then talk about them. which is exactly what I'm doing, but he actually threw black babies against the wall. That's something I never did.
I just want to take a baby who happens to be black and throw it. Now, guys.
That's crazy. Like, it's crazy that you get away with that shit back then, though. But recently, Ray has been getting into some legal trouble. Surprisingly, it's nothing to do with AI, because this is the weird thing about the internet, right? You know how I just talked about JCS, and the big problem that they had is their main narrator was replaced with AI of that same person? Ray William Johnson's content is actually shifted to more short-form content now, and all of it's AI. He'll basically be talking, and then he'll use images to explain what's going on, and these are so obviously all generated within AI. He gets absolutely no backlash for it. I'm not saying that he should, but it just shows that, like, people that watch short form content, they all just consume any kind of slop and they won't even question it. Now, Ray is not a stranger to lawsuits. Years and years ago, he actually got into a lawsuit with Junkin Media. That was basically something of a fair use. It's boring. It's boring. You see YouTubers cry about it on Twitter saying their videos fair use. But no, this lawsuit regards controversial Filipino pastor Apollo Kiboyloy. Now, if you're not familiar with Apollo, he calls himself the appointed son of God. So he genuinely believes that he is the son of God himself. And he started his own church, or as I like to call it, a cult, called the Kingdom of Jesus Christ in the Philippines. He also has a pretty hefty record of sexual abuse and human trafficking charges. Many such cases. And apparently, at the time of recording, he's also wanted by the FBI. If anything, he seems to be the real-life Filipino embodiment of the show, The Righteous Gemstone, except it's just him and not his entire family. Now, this guy has basically tried to sue and silence every single person in the world who has ever said a bad thing about him. I mean, such notable examples like Manny Pacquiao, who's a former professional boxer, also a businessman and Filipino politician, and the Filipino news outlet The Rappler. Even Umpaville did an entire video basically breaking down how Ray William Johnson is being sued by a cult leader. So what happened with Ray William Johnson after he was throwing babies against the wall, I assume? He basically covered a really old story about Apollo. But then he actually discovered recently that he got an email from a Filipino-based law firm representing Apollo saying you need to take the video down right now and also put out a public apology. And then Ray uploaded his own video saying that he's not sorry and also going into more detail saying how, well, you know, if the FBI want you arrested, me as a humble YouTube Shorts creator can probably also talk about it. He's also apparently as well planning to document the entire lawsuit journey if Apollo does actually go through with legal action. So I guess we'll have to see if there's another lawsuit that follows up in the future. My life is like a video game. So in proximity to lawsuits, I would like to talk about the beloved website itch.io. So itch.io is a website where people can upload their own content. They can make their own indie games and upload them on there. Either you pay a fee or you don't pay at all because you press the little thing saying, no, take me to downloads because you're a cheap ass. But the website was actually taken down because of Funko Pop, of all companies. That's right, the same company that made Golden Thanos. Who owns that? Whoever owns that, send me one of those, please. I got a PO box down in the description. Send me one of those. So apparently Funko, instead of going down the normal route, which is what companies do by, you know, just having like a DMCA takedown, Funko supposedly gave itch.io a bogus phishing report from what they claim to be trash AI-powered software called Brand Shield. They even thought about having a backup domain as well, just because of like how abrupt the entire situation unfolded. Now, I'm not sure the kind of people that work at Funko Pops, they could be nice people, or they could be slowly going insane, because all they're basically making is the same looking character with big black eyes. But it seems someone actually cracked, because someone from Funko that worked at the company actually got involved, the itch.io founder's mother. So Leif Corcoran is the founder of itch.io, and they actually got his mother involved by calling her directly. Thankfully, I do want to say this was resolved. Itch.io is now back up, so you can download, you know, your furry Guna game or whatever you're using on that website. So later down the line, Funko and Brand Shield both made public statements about the situation. Now, Funko's one was a bit of a weird cope. They basically claimed that there was a page on itch.io that was imitating their Funko Fusion development page and requested a takedown of that specific page, not the entirety of itch.io. And of course, they did the big brand thing, or as I like to call it, the YouTuber apology, where they never actually say sorry at any point. Meanwhile, Brand Shield, on the other hand, were just yapping about their AI system detecting an imitation page, and then they kind of just doubled down saying that they were doing their job. So these two companies came out to make statements to basically say absolutely nothing. There's a running theme in this video, boys. Nothing ever happens. On the topic of shutdowns, I would like to talk about Ubisoft. Okay, boys, let's have a moment of silence for Ubisoft. So there have been a lot of game company just complete blunders recently. Concord, that was from Sony, that had a shelf life of like watching one episode of House. But I'm now talking about XDefiant, or as I like to call it, XD, the game's dead. XD, the game's dead. Why did they call it XDefiant, man? It says XD at the start. It's like Disney XD. The fact I'm 27 laughing at an XD, that's sad. That's wild. So this is another game that has been shut down by a big company, Ubisoft. I don't need to go into detail about how Ubisoft is really not in a good position right now. I genuinely think a lot of people are just getting fatigue of like the same 3 games coming out every year. And this isn't just a Ubisoft problem. It's most games in general. I mean, a good example here is like on the main channel, Pyrocynical. I usually never cover mainstream games that just came out because they're all just the same. No, instead, I'd rather nostalgia bait and tell you that Far Cry 3 is actually a lot better than you remember it. So XDefiant is definitely being shut down. They're pulling the plug on the servers in June next year. And they also made the decision to no longer let players make any new purchases or new characters to sign up as. Because again, if you're paying out on a game that's going to be dead, you're not getting any refunds. That's a perfect example, by the way, of why Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is still going a year later despite having a player base of like 4 people. That's because there were people like me that were stupid and bought the special edition of the game. And it'd be much easier to have a skeleton crew work on that game than actually give out any kind of refund. Now, this part's really funny. This is just ultimate big company moment. So if you purchased the Ultimate Founders Pack, which is pretty expensive, anytime after the 3rd of November, you're eligible for a full refund. But if you purchase the regular Founders Pack and the Founders Pack Elite, you're not eligible for a full refund because you didn't spend enough money. Now, one of the bigger questions behind it is, why did it shut down? During its initial launch, it had around 10 million players, which is really good. The problem is, much like other games, for example, the Finals, which was a really fun game, I massively enjoyed it, you can't compete. You can't compete because everyone is either playing Fortnite, Valorant, CSGO, or COD. We're stuck in this cycle right now where companies don't want to explore. They don't want to try different games. They will instead basically imitate whatever is the most popular thing right now, hopefully to try and get some traction from it. I've done this old man rant like a billion times. This is the reason why indie games right now are usually doing better than they ever have done before. And also, this is why the statement is true that there are no games, but there are some games. So what I want to do with these ASOTs is end the video on a lighter note, give some kind of like heartfelt story, because I don't know if you noticed, these videos are a lot more drama-centric than the ASOTs I do years ago, because unfortunately the internet is a much more negative place. So I thought to myself, why not just add, you know, a nice story, even if it didn't get like 30,000 updates on Reddit. We all know about gender reveal parties and how people do them in the most degenerate ways. And also people causing literal forest fires celebrating the gender reveal of their baby. But there was one streamer that actually got a special announcement in Escape from Tarkov. And this is someone who, after 6 years of doing multiple failed IVF attempts, the streamer, that friendly guy, that is his name, by the way, I guess he's just a friendly guy, no association with that chill guy. That friendly guy and his partner actually announced they were successfully able to get pregnant.
I'll just do this quick raid. What's that? Is that a new event item? What's that? I've not seen a question mark for ages. What's that? What's that? That's got to be a new event, right? I've just found a random item. I wonder what that is. It's actually a bit weird, that, isn't it? That's it's a bit weird, that.
We have one of those too.
Oh God, I'm so emotional. I've waited so long to tell you that, chat.
I just honestly think the way that that was presented was such a cool way, like with the unique animation, like making it look like it was in actual Tarkov, but it was all pre-generated. You know, they've said themselves in the tweet that it cost thousands of pounds wasted, but finally it's happened. And well, the wife or partner is pregnant. I just thought that was a really cool story to end on, because again, it's like, I think that's sick. And that only got like 3,700 likes on Twitter. That's nothing. So yeah, I can't make every single ASOT story like positive like that, but I do think like going ahead, it would be nice to end on those positive ones, because
there's a lot of negativity in the world, guys, even though it makes us a lot of money.